Hello and welcome to the Treasured Page. I'm Melanie and this is our quiet crafting space. Today I want to make something. I want to throw myself into a small project and get lost in the process. I'm doing this for Junk Journal July today with the prompt I'm using for day 14, which is nature. And I couldn't think of a nicer prompt to want to throw myself into something today. So I am looking at 2 index cards. These are 6 inches by 4 inches. And we are going to work with those today. So it could be any sort of paper, but it does need to have a slight thickness to it without being a thick card. We're then going to add an embellish to it, so the end result is quite thin but still sturdy. Alright, so the first card we'll look at, you want to take off about a good 1/2 inch. About that. Maybe a jot more. It doesn't really matter, but it is going to be then folded in half like this. And that's going to form an interactive part that sits with your tag. So that's something that can be open and shut like a little, well, folded piece of paper, but a little booklet style. Right, that's that bit. Then this bit wants to have 3/4 of an inch taken off the long side. So I'm going to use my lines and I'm just going to take off that there, 3/4 of an inch around abouts. Good. So now we've got this fitting inside that nicely, and this is our long tag. I'm going to now take off the corners using an old plastic card, which was a gift card. Just take off those corners there. Alright, so far so good. Then we're going to get into our scraps and decorate them. It could be anything pretty, but thinking of nature, so we're going to do a plain background first using glue, nice glue stick, and just cover the whole of the tag. I'm just putting a piece of paper down behind, and I'll keep that out because I'm just going to start putting down a background here. Overlapping is fine. Yeah, coffee dye paper. I'm going to do it on an angle then, that's just a bit easier for me. We're not inking around anything at the moment, we're just laying down what looks like 3 bits of paper, and I might have up the top here, so I might come back with interesting bits. So I just want plain bits put down first. There's a bit that will do nice. Do I want lines? No, I don't think I do. So torn edges are probably more interesting, so if you want to ink you can. Just put that bit down there, and this bit up the top here. And then we just cut that round. Okay. I'll leave the top because that's a bit ruggedy and I like that. Now we've got rid of the white lines, I don't feel that I'm dealing with anything from the office. I now feel that I'm in the realms of something much more interesting. I'm safe, I'm in my safe, happy place. My happy place. And now I can think about nature and bring in little bits here and there. So that's that one. We're going to do exactly the same on this piece of paper. And thinking about it, we want the other side done as well. We can actually make sure that the crease has paper all the way across it, so that when it folds, nothing's going to ping up on that fold line. We're just sticking them down. In no particular order. It's quite nice to vary the colour. So you've got some interest going across it. And just a nice way to use up offcuts from where you may have cut down a journal. Quite nice to keep that torn edge, if it's possible to peel up something like that. No. Forget it. Move on. That was a no. That started to tear, so I'm just going to put that there. And then one more for the end there. Okay, perfect. Doesn't matter about the inside. If you get glue on it, we're not going to be seeing that. You'll see why. So there you are. You just need to cover your index card, which was 6 by 4. We just took ½ an inch off of the edge of one and folded it in half, like so. There we go. And now we've got that covered. And we'll just squash everything down with the bone folder. Anything peeling up, get it down now, especially on what will be the front. Right, turn that over. Okay, so now we have this, and that goes like that. Altogether more rustic, and it took no time at all to do that. You've got the inside here, but we are going to end up gluing that shut, so it is just about the front and the back here at the moment. What we're going to bring in now is some fun elements, but we are going to be mindful that this portion is going to be cut away, so we are decorating around the sides and the bottom half of this piece. And this just wants a wonderful background, but bearing in mind the focal point of the tag is going to come from here. So we want to concentrate on the bottom and again round the sides, but ultimately cover it. So just have that in mind when you start decorating. So if you've got to this point now, now we can bring in some more interesting papers. Offcuts of digital kits and things you can start to pull in and make those sides and down the bottom interesting. And that's where book page, fancy papers, textured papers, decorated papers and things like this sort of scrapbook paper is all a good idea. It's just a background, but it does need to convey nature. So there's a bit there I quite like. I'm going to glue that down. That was an offcut from one of the digital kits we've been working with this week, which is, or last week as well. That is the Summer Blooms Celebration from Rach and Bella Crafts. And Line Dot Arrow as well. They both have one half of a whole kit. So between them they have the whole kit. On their Etsy shop. So that's Rach and Bella Crafts and Line Dot Arrow. But I'm only using the scraps, but I have made a full journal on my playlist if you'd like to have a look at the A to Z of summer inspiration. You can either search that or you can have a look in my list of journal making. It will come under. and all the journal books that I've shown how to make as little free tutorials. We don't have to be too fussy with it, but we just need to have something that gives an element of nature and botanicals. So we can come in with stickers and other fussy cut elements if that's what you would like to do, because you have now got a background. What I've got here, I've got a nice sticker of a fern, so I might like to use that. And I'm just bringing in some other papers. This is a handmade paper, but it is a shop bought one. And I'm just going to add that down there like that. And that's where we've got so far, which is great. So what you now need to know is that the bottom part of this tag is going to be cut off. 1 inch is going to be cut off, and it's a good time to do that now, and then we can decorate it up accordingly of what feels right. So I'm probably going to have that there, but we'll just have a look how that's going to work. So about 1 inch you're just going to take off. You could do this with decorative scissors, you could do it with, yeah, you could do it with a scalloped edge scissor, something like that, but I'm just going to take off a good inch there. All right, and then that can then come up. This is going to make a pocket, so I might want to glue that on now with a tacky glue. So that's just 3 sides coming round as if you're making a capital E, but forgetting the middle bit and putting it down to match up with the other. A little bit more interesting. And then this is where your booklet style card is going to go. And I'm just thinking it wants to come down about 1/4 of an inch just to sit in there nicely, so I'm going to take that off the top like that. So just 1/4 of an inch. I think that'll be a nicer fit. Good, there we are. So that's that, and I'm going to put that sticker behind to give me the nature feel, using up these stickers that I don't like because they're plastic and I'm not happy with them, and I shan't be buying them again, but I have them. And if you've got washi tape stickers, they are obviously made of paper and much more environmentally friendly, unless they're the ones with the plastic backing, which we keep seeing. But the more we keep moaning about it, perhaps they will do something about it. So just tucking that in there and angling it around ever so slightly. There we go. Anything coming off can, well, I think that'll have to get cut off because there's not enough to peel round to make it look good. That's it, just go over with the bone folder for your stickers, and we are halfway there to being done. In fact, you could just put some pretty flower on the front, put a hole in the top, and you've got something really good already. But if we carry on, we might end up with something totally off the chart exciting. To move forward with the next bit, because we've created our pocket and that fits in there nicely, happy with that. Just check that nothing's peeling up, because sometimes these glues just don't go to the edges where you think they have. You might need a precision nozzle glue. Okay, so now we've got our pocket for our tuck card going in there. We've got a bit of decoration going on at the back. We're going to have a hole punched at the top there with a reinforcement ring. We're going to decorate the bottoms, that's all to come, and then we're going to focus on this. for all of that, I'm just going to put a little edge round there with ink, because that can often help with a little collage, just to know what it looks like when you've got the edges all neatened up and finished. I'm using Vintage Photo here, and it's actually an oxide ink, so that's quite nice. We've got a woodland theme there and nice nature, nice natural tones. Okay, so the next part of this came about when I punched out these circles, and it's given me an idea. Now there's two things that you can do. If you have a circle punch, I've got a 1.5 inch circle punch here. That created that the other day when I was doing my wallpaper challenge. Now you could put something on there, decorate it up, ink round the edge, and that be your focal point feature. You could do that. You could take the idea that I had in here and showed you. If you watched to the end and you're a regular subscriber, you would have discovered this little bonus idea, which was this with the wallpaper, where you can spin the insert there. So using that idea but developing it and making it slightly better, what I've decided to do here, so I'm just going to take that out of the way. I'm going to cut a hole here. The punch I want is a square punch, and I have got one, but it's not the right size. So I've got one, but I need it bigger than my circle. Okay, so don't let the lack of fancy gadgets hold you back. You just need to cut a square out of some card and make a traditional template, okay? And then you need to check that it just about fits your circle in there. So you need to cut a circle. You can draw around something, and then you can draw around something else to get your shapes. You can use ruler and pencil and measure it up properly, but you need a circle and a square, and the circle must fit into the square with a few millimeters either side so that it's not touching. All right, we're going to need 2 of those for this idea. Okay, so the circle needs to be made out of card, and then we're taking this card and we're going to cut it out of these 2 pieces. Okay, so for this next bit, you're going to need a cutting mat and a knife if you've got such a thing. If you've got a hole punch, a square punch that is bigger than your circle punch, then by all means just cut through. You need to cut through both cards. You would just put it on and chomp through it, okay, so you can see right the way through. In the absence of that, we're going to be old school and cut out a template. But just to make it different, if you've got a corner rounder, I'm going to round the corners of this just to give me an interesting shape like that. But you don't need to. I've actually just introduced more of a problem for myself. But what I'm doing is I'm going to line up where I think it is in the centre, but leaving enough down here. You've got to remember that when it slots in here, you want a little bit of intrigue poking out here, but ultimately leave 1/2 inch at the top and a little bit more, maybe 3/4 inch at the bottom. So that's sort of quite interesting there. And then with the pencil, we're just going to draw around. Not worrying too much because we're decorating and we can always rub the line out. We could have done that on the back, but I didn't think of that. So perhaps you could do it on the back, although I've got my pretty paper there. So I'm going to take the ruler and I'm just going to cut that out. No, forget the rounded corner. That is just going to be too difficult. If you've got a knife that allows you to go round corners, you could do the rounded corner, but now in hindsight, I think it's easier to have okay. Well, we've come out with one so far, so good. And then I just want to nearly there. Okay, so blade away and then pop that out. Okay, so the rounded corner idea was a little bit too taxing. Nice idea, but ultimately a bit difficult. So that's fine. We changed the plans. That's all right. So we've got these. We might be able to do something with those in the future. And now this needs to fit in there nicely, which it does. So that's the main thing. Good. It can be double thickness. Okay, so what you need to do now is cover another piece of card or this in some paper. So you could cover the bits that you've already just cut out and try and do a hole punch from those, but it would be easier if you got a separate piece of card, covered them with music paper or a digital kit or book page or something, and then just cut those two out. We're going to want the double thickness after all, because of course we have got double thickness here, so it's going to sit in there nicely. All right, we're going to have it in there suspended. So the next thing is to find some thread. You could use metallic thread, strong thread, and I'm going to be using invisible thread, which is a nylon thread I've got here. It's very strong. So the only thing is no one's going to be able to see it. Okay. So the idea here is to get some tacky glue and get that all the way around. Find your thread. Hopefully it'll show up at some point. I think, oh dear, don't stick it to the desk. I'm going to do double thickness on this thread so that I've got, if one snaps, that's okay. We've got options. We've got another chance. It's just, I'm folding the thread in half so that I've got a loop, right? That's fine. And now, making sure I've got enough length of the project, I'm just going to put it down there, and I just want to make sure that that's round the right way. Okay, so up is that way, that's the way up there. Get your next top bit and sandwich it in while the glue is still sticky, and then pull your thread so that it comes out at the top and the bottom. There we are. We're wanting to make a spinner. Not a new idea. I'm sure it's been part of ancient Chinese culture for years, so I am not claiming this idea at all, but certainly we're merely borrowing it today. With a circle, little ink around both edges, using the circles that we punched out from the other project, or that I punched out from the other project, and that is where it's going to go, in there. And then you have the option to either fix it in and decorate, or decorate and fix it in. So I'm going to try and decorate it now and then fix it in. And for that, I've got some stickers just to be quick and simple. Okay, I've got a sticker here, so I'm just going to put that down over the vintage music paper. You get your threads out the way. So if you've got nylon thread, and it's called invisible thread, that's brilliant because it's nice and strong. If you haven't, maybe go for a white or a brown, something that tones in, or a pink, whatever colours you have in your background. Pick those out. And we'll put the butterfly down there. And I'm putting this in the middle here like that. Bringing that thread down. Now, next thing is a little bit of tape is going to be helpful here. I should just use some washi tape that I've got to hand. I'm tearing it lengthways, and I'm just going to work out where I want this thread to come. Hang on. Securing it at the top. Okay, and then at the bottom, and positioning your spinner nice and straight, matching up with the top, and centering it. And when you're happy, squash down your, that's it, it's going to do that, that's it. So squash down your tape, and then you want to glue it shut with a nice strong glue. And I'm using the Fabri-Tac here, and I'm going right to the edge, and again right to the edge where my window is going to be. And in hindsight, I should have probably done a bit of ink through that window, but hopefully that'll be okay. I'm just going to shut my door, and that's all framed in there nicely. Okay. Just hold that down, let that set. And then we're going to cut away the strings from the top, because it shouldn't go anywhere with the tape. Just give it a pull, make sure everything's straight. Leave it to dry, just put a paperweight, put something on it for the minute, and just let that set. Let's put it to one side, and we'll cut the threads off afterwards, because if anything moves, we've lost the threads. So there we go. I haven't done that before, so it's new to me, and I'm just learning as I go. Right, on this, I want to just decorate down the bottom while I'm waiting for the other thing to set. And I'm going to put down here a nice little label from Tracy Fox. And that says Woodland, ink round the edge. And there, that's nice. And then just to fill in that gap there, I'm going to want some flower here. I've got a sticker, a yellow one might be nice. Or I've got this pink one. That's too big. Maybe that go in there. Maybe that will come over here. Not sure yet. I quite like that. I quite like that. Put that on there. And manoeuvre that bit down in there. So that's stuck. And then squash everything down with a bone folder. Okay, so that's coming together quite nicely. Probably want something up there. Maybe we'll have, I don't like that now, that's nice, but not for this project. I want to put a reinforcement hole, and the way I do this is I buy these paper reinforcers, I go over them with the ink to make them brown and vintage, and then on these ones I just went over with a script stamp to make the scripty marks there. So I'm going to use one of these I could use that, but I think this will be a little bit more interesting and it will echo the print that's already there. So I'll just choose one of those and add it up here, work out where I think the center point is. That's great. And then I want a hole punch. I've just got my little hole punch here and I can now see where I need to go with that. And that is my tag. Pretty much done. A little bit more ink there. And I think I'll put one on the back as well. Or another stamp on the back there just to finish that off. But that's my nature tag done, so that's fine as that is. And it, you know, you could put a few tickets in there and call that finished completely. Wouldn't need to worry about it. The other thing that might have looked nice is a little cluster or something if you've got some pre-made clusters going on. And we could put a little cheeky owl in there. You know, these sort of things you can do, whatever feels right to you for your journal. This is for you, it's a personal thing, and you decorate it any way you want. Now, this idea, it wants a bit more developing because we haven't got anything on there. And then this is quite fun because you're just sort of putting little scraps down now to make it all come together. And then I think what is quite good is that we'll do that like that. And then when you pick it up, it does a spin. Now, another thing we can do on the back, just if you are running out of ideas or wanting a quick solution, is a bit of a strip of washi tape is quite good. I've got quite a nice one here with some birds on it, and I think, you know, it just so happens to fit that space quite nicely with if I can get that straight. Cut that free, and there as well. And then I'm just going to cut the little string at the top now because I think we're dried and we can assemble everything. Isn't that just so sweet? Oh my goodness, that worked out much better than was in my head, shall I say. Right, let me have a tidy up. And then with a black archival ink, I'm just going to take this stamp here. Just add that there, nice little element. Great. I smudged a bit at the bottom, but that's okay. I'll stick a bit of washi tape on that. That's it, and just have that like that. And here we have a very nearly finished piece of our tag. On the back we've got the little stamp there, which will allow for writing space. And I'm just going to put this vintage lace in here to finish off the tag. I'm looping it over, pushing the loop through from front to back, depending whichever way you prefer the look. And then pulling that through like that just to finish it off as a really fun vintage piece. And that, I think, works well with our prompt today, which was nature. And this can then be taken out as a fun element, and look, the spin goes round, offering some real intrigue and delight. And then all you need to do is you just sort of wind it up a bit for the next person to find. Sort of load it up, just being careful. And just make sure you've used a nice strong thread, and then in it goes. And then that goes into the journal. And what I'll do is I'm going to find a page here, and this will finish off this bit there. Okay, so that's in there. And then from this idea of playing, just playing, we've now developed it into something more interesting and more desirable and more treasured, to go and live on the treasured page with notes on the back, fun interactive bit there, and just a real playing in the journal and watching that spin round. Just fun. Okay guys, so thank you very much for watching. I hope you found some value here and some inspiration to go and make your own spinning cards to add to your treasured pages. And above all else, just slow down and make crafting time for you. Bye bye now.